school. I don't even have to think about, returning to what had happened to me. But then I actually had a situation where I found myself spanking my son. And I tell you, the very interesting thing is that my son gave me he must have been about 3 or 3.5. He gave me the very same energy I had towards my dad when I was 10. Meaning that I don't know if that was some sort of spiritual evolution on his part or whatever, but I was confronted. Although he was 3.5, I was confronted with my 10-year-old self feeling this towards my dad, and it was a very profound experience. And Donella, you mentioned before, which I think was so brilliant, you identified that it made you feel weak. Yes. And that is a profound, stay there, because I don't think a lot of us really take the time to think, how is this making me feel? Because if you are a parent and you are hitting your child and you're listening to these words right now, ask yourself, how does it make you feel? Slow down, go back to how you feel when you hit your kid. And I think we will have a different scenario. Yeah,
I don't think you can exactly feel like a success within that situation. But I'm going to pause for a minute. We've got 2 callers. I'm sorry. I think, Arthur, we got you. We got you. Okay, just 1 second, please.
Go.
Hi, welcome to Inspirit Talk Radio. You're on the air.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Nella. This is Shirley.
Hi, Shirley.
Hi, how are you?
Shirley, please don't call me Nella. I'm being professional.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Donella Martin Braddock, and I prefer all 3 names.
Donella Martin, Miss Martin Braddock, good evening.
Okay, yes, good evening.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good evening. I've been listening, and this is actually a topic that is kind of, it hits home when I hear about it, because I was a kid who was disciplined through corporal punishment, but I don't think that it necessarily ruined my life or that it lessened my self-esteem to a certain extent, because in a way it showed me discipline in the workforce and in my schooling. And I'm not saying that it was right for my mother to, maybe slap me up, but I will also admit that I was mouthy and that I was a kid that, I needed to. Had I not had that discipline, I think I would be a hot mess today in life. And I might be a very different woman today had, my mother took the approach of just letting me kind of run loose. I think the discussion that you guys are having is very valid, but you guys are more on the side of, my name is Shirley, but Shirley. I think the argument that you guys are gearing more towards is more of abuse rather than disciplining your child.
Yeah, but can I just
because there's other options of discipline. That's my whole
exactly.
There are other options,
we all agree that discipline is a standard. We agree on that.
But then you have to look at who the
is abuse.
Right. There's a difference between abuse and discipline, but then you also have to look at who's doing the disciplining and the background that they come from. We're all talking from a very educated point of view, whereas some of our parents don't have that luxury that we had or those privileges and those experiences. So they were doing the best with what they knew. And my mother was born and raised in poverty. She was on the streets since she was 14. So when she had me when she was 23, and she raised me, and here I come in the 90s as a teenager, well, you don't know what my life is like, and mouthing off. She absolutely had a right to kind of check me, but she also knew the discipline, the difference between abusing me and disciplining me, and she would always tell me that, and that's why I was not allowed to hit my siblings, because she said, you're not their mother. You don't understand what it's like to just discipline them. You're just hitting them because you're angry at them. Okay. And I think a decent mother, or parent knows the difference, and it's a big difference from, just giving your child what they need to get through in life and to get tools and to understand that, there's for every action, there's a reaction. And when you do something, there's a consequence. Now, should it be that you're getting hit every time? Absolutely not. But you know what, one swift spanking or one, if I'm mouthing off to my mother, she grabs me up by the lip and says to me, go ahead, talk now, that's, not uncalled for, in my opinion. Especially when you live with your parents, and your if your kid does not pay bills, and you're busting your behind to pay bills and get them through everything, giving them all the luxuries.
Shirley, what you're doing right now is it's defensive. It's basically a me against them thing. It's not a discipleship thing, or like I said, reinforcing that culture of learning.
But can I say something, Shirley? What I love about your story, Shirley, I mean, I love your story. I really love I love hearing about it, because when you tell me the story of your mother and you say that she's 14, I mean, first of all, I just have to recognize the power and the strength of both of you. I feel that immediately in your calling in and saying the story. And what I think is really interesting is that your mother had a particularly hard life. You said she was on her own. She had you when she was 14?
No, she was on her own since she was 14. She had me when she was 23.
Okay, check this out. She was on her own from the time she was 14, so she was still a child, yeah?
Right, and she got beat terribly with whips and extension cords.
Right, exactly.
And,
so
and she had been through the most unimaginable things in life at that point, and yet her discipline was not really what she reserved, what she received, you know. And she was still able to discipline me properly, where I was not abused.
So
you know,
but the thing what's so beautiful about your story is that your mother obviously recognized that there was a different, there was something to what she experienced. That, okay, she was disciplined, and she was disciplined in some, like, crazy way, because we know that exists. You know what I mean? And a lot of people do that, yeah? And then she herself had a child and was like, okay, that picture wasn't completely right. So again, someone who's been on her own since she was 14, didn't necessarily have the parenting and the guidance that many of us don't have either. You know what I mean? So she's parenting, doing the most, fundamentally important job. I mean, not job, because it isn't grace ever, and not having any guidance. So what I'm suggesting to you is that I hear you, and I bow down to you, because you are like, I give my mom the utmost respect, and I hear where you're coming from with that. Right. But can you step away from the picture for a moment and look at yourself and look at your mom and just see that your mom was doing the best with what information she had, and when you look at the information she had, she did brilliantly, yeah? But can you also sit down with your mother now, you meet her as a child, and tell your mom, have a conversation with your mom as though maybe you two are both 14, or maybe you both are 23 or something, and go there and tell her what because I can hear you're not angry and all of that, and I think that's great, and you're not blaming her. But we do have to acknowledge, if you take yourself, let's say you take your child and put her in your situation or in your mom's situation or whatever, what is your highest wish? Do you wish that there is corporal punishment involved, or that there's a way of doing it where it doesn't exist?
Well, the thing is that you can't. The fact is that it's always going to exist, and your child will test you no matter what. Now, you can take one of. You can take.
Shirley, I'm sorry. Can I stop for a minute, because we've got another caller? I just want to say this, and I don't want to embarrass you, but you're another person that I know personally, and I think you are an awesome, amazing person. I deeply doubt that you would be any less amazing if you had been beaten. I don't think you needed to be beaten in order to be the person you are. I'm going to stop you right here. We've got another caller, and we're also running out of time. Hi, welcome to Inspirit Talk Radio. You're on the air.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
Peace.
And you are, sir?
My name is Mark.
Okay, hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, how are I guess I had a point that I wanted to share. Is that all right?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, well, I mean, from my perspective, I think corporal punishment is only necessary when something has been done wrong, or when an infraction has been carried out. So there would be no need for any type of disciplining if there wasn't something that was done wrong in the first place. Now, I mean, however you want to go about punishing your child or disciplining them, that's totally up to you. But this is just more from a general perspective. To me, it's all about levels of governance, and it generally starts when you're trying to govern your life. It starts with you need to govern your own self, right? Since I'm a Christian, I believe in the fruit of the Spirit, where it says that the fruit of the Spirit is self-control. So first of all, like, the first order of governance is to be able to control yourself. But if you can't control yourself, that's what you have your parents there for. Because since you failed